And that's his wife, Kit Griffin. Yeah. They were cousins of my mother's and her father's side. Boy, I'll tell you, those graves look awful to be taking the pictures, don't they?
Well, that way I can, instead of writing all the information down, I can take one quick picture.
Yeah. See, he would be my mother's first cousin.
And that's your sister and her husband. Cornelius?
Cornelius and Margaret Griffin.
And how are you related to Dude again?
We're second cousins. Our mothers were first cousins, their fathers were brothers. Now her sister, Alice, the one that died a couple of years ago, she isn't buried here, she's buried over there.
John Finn. It says John Griffin died November.
That must have been Margaret Griffin's father. That must have been Dude's grandfather.
Died November 15th, 1914.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, I couldn't read what that said, 1914.
Looks like 77 years. And then it says Anne. It says Anne, wife of John Griffin, died, I think, February 22nd, 1901, maybe?
Could be.
Age 65 years.
That'd be Dude's grandparents.
Catherine Reynolds would be who?
My great aunt, Kate.
And that's not the one that fell,
No.
her mother was the one who
Yes, yes.
who died by falling off the dock and drowning?
Yep. This is the one that worked for the newspaper. She ended up living with us.
And now I'll have to get the words on the side of this. I don't know if I'll be able to read them. It looks like it says Lizzie died April 21st, 1861. Age 2 years, 7 months. Andrew died May 15th, 1861. Age 9 months. Children of J and M Reynolds.
Yep. See, there's another one that's toppled over, Dan. 1849 to 1897.
And that was your mother's father? James Reynolds?
No, my mother's father was John Griffin.
That was your mother's
Uncle, great uncle, I would say. Glass K, but I would think
Let's see,
so.
James
This
Reynolds.
James Reynolds, I'm not sure about.
Your mother was Anna
Griffin.
and her mother was Reynolds.
That's right.
And that was her husband, probably.
Yes, probably. Is that what that says?
It says Bryant A. Farrell died February 29th, 1868.
Well, he died in leap year. He was only 31 years old. I don't know anything about him. What's this?
But he's buried so close to the same plot.
Who those girls are?
Okay, now Margaret Reynolds
Milligan.
Milligan.
Milligan. Milligan.
1856 to 1927. And she is...
That would have been Aunt Kate Reynolds' sister. I don't know. It doesn't say Reynolds on there. And I don't think so. I think that must go by itself there.
Griffin. He was in the Spanish-American War.
And who put...
See that? April 21st, 1925. Wait till I get this much.
So we have Michael J. Griffin.
That's my mother. Or no, that's my mother's father.
September 19th, 1912.
Right?
And then you have Mary Jane, wife of Michael J. Griffin. And
See that? April 21st, 1925.
that's
the day the papers were merged.
Yeah. Now the Reynolds that we were just looking at,
She was Mary Jane Reynolds. She was the sister of Kate Reynolds. Did we just show you the
Because
special?
one of them also died on April 21st, but it was a different year.
One of the Reynoldses?
Yeah. And then that's John, what does that say, F. Griffin?
That's John F. Griffin. That's their son.
I can't read that. What does that say?
He died, let's see.
John F. Griffin, it says something.
Well, he died 1925. I think it's this. What's happened to that? I know it's 1925. It's got to be.
So that again says John F. Griffin, USN for United States Navy. Died December 16th, 1925.
Well, I know he died before my grandmother, but my grandmother died April 25. How did he?
That could be 1923. Tough to read. And then what's it say?
Gotta be. You know why?
Age 42 years. Is that what it says? Yeah. So that's 1923. December 16th, 1923. And the flag is a veteran flag.
That's because he's a veteran. They put it on every year.
For which war?
Spanish-American.
Okay. Yeah, so that's about age 46, I think.
So if you're 46 and 25, 1984. He was probably born about
1875. Well, let's see.
My mother was
1877.
What was mother's name? 1884, and he was younger, I think. I think he was the youngest. It was Mame and mother and him. So he. Let's see, in 1923, my mother was 84, 94, 104, 14, 24. My mother was 40, he was 42, then he was older. I was trying to think. I'm sure they said Spanish-American War, but it seems though he would have been in World War I.
Those stones. The way they piled those up.
What's the name of the cemetery? St. Paul's?
St. Paul's. Murphy's and Loftus, right? You know, she lived, Catherine Murphy lived till 74. That was pretty good in those years. You know?
And this
That's
is
who I'm
your
named after.
this is your dad's parents.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah, that was pretty good as
That
well.
was very good at that in those years.
I can't read the top one. What does it say? The very top?
Murphy, let's see.
Dennis, probably.
No.
Dennis Murphy. Looks like it.
Is it? Okay, that would be right.
December 20th, 1898. Age 55.
Yeah. And then this Loftus here is one of our aunts. She was a Murphy and married a Loftus. You got mother and father, see underneath.
Yeah. And now,
Then there's Jim, James, Catherine. There's James. And Catherine.
Now
after
James
that.
is your dad's brother.
Yeah, brother. Sister over here, Catherine.
and
Mother
now
and
where's
father.
Puss? And
Margaret should be here someplace.
The address house.
116 East 5th.
And now that's where you were born, or?
No, this is where we lived most of our lives. I was 5 years old when we moved there.
Oh, so Rita was probably born. No,
Just born, just a
Just-
baby.
yeah.
Really.
and Jane.
hmm
And then the school across the street is where you went to school.
Well, it wasn't that school though. It was an old one, right here.
Oh, I see.
And they
So this
tore it
was
down
yeah.
and
This was.
built a new one.
Now this is Cochran Street, and that house is 7 Cochran. Oh, so that's the one we saw in the book.
Nice as it was a couple of years ago. That big thing they put on the back is what wrecked it. I wouldn't suppose it isn't a garage either, is it? I don't know what it is, but
And now
see, it's terrible now. Look at the yard. Well, you know, several years ago, look at they put that porch in. Oh, it's too bad. But we have pictures of it while it was still nice. It was awfully nice right up until, it's the first time I've seen it look that bad. But all things considered. Now see, I'll bet the canal's just below those trees. Don't you think so?
no, the
probably-
canal is where?
Below the trees down there.
So no, that was Mary Quinn Reynolds, right?
Yeah, the one that,
Now she
Went
fell off the
down.
barge there, and
right.
now we can't see the canal from here, can we?
No, but it's below.
Oh,
those-
right past there.
Yeah, below the trees, yeah.
Now
Of
how
course,
do
that road probably wasn't there either.
we? Yeah. Now how do we get out of here?
Right, straight ahead.
That road probably Cochran probably went right down to the water.
Probably did. Then we'll go up and we'll be back on Syracuse Avenue.
Take a left here.
Yeah. Be easier than trying to get it in down there.
Yeah.
But you can anyway. Go ahead, here comes the car too.
Oh my God! Look at this thing.
Ah, my lord.
I don't think he needs those tires that big.
I don't think so. Stupid.
Well, we're on our way.
Back we are.
Oh, okay. This is right. I remember this. Before we went right up that way.
Yeah. And now we go down here and then. Stop. Okay. Right across.
And there's the canal.
Yep. Of course, by this time up here, it's the...
Now, was that dam there, I wonder, or that?
I doubt that. I imagine that dam was put in later, do
Yeah.
you?
Oh, yeah. You can tell. It's modern construction.
Yeah. But that poor lady, I can remember feeling so sorry for Aunt Kate that her mother died like that. And I used to go up at night, I'd say, do you want me to help you take off your shoes? You know, she
To
wore
your Aunt Kate or to the?
Kate and Kate Reynolds.
Yeah.
And I'd say, I'd help her take off her shoes because they were big lace shoes all the way up, you know. And then I'd sit and talk with her. And a lot of times she'd get into it. Would you mind putting it up just a little?
No, I was gonna put it up all the way. Yeah.
I don't want you to have to do that.
No, that's okay.
Not,
I wanted to.
oh, okay. So,
The noise drives me crazy sometimes.
oh yeah, that's right. You want to put on that, you can.
I'm fine.
So, and then I could have gotten, I remember her talking about County Clare. And and I stopped to think of it. I could have sat there and got all this information. But of course, in those days, I wasn't thinking of this. Well, I'll start my medicine now. I always remember my mother telling me, have a place of her own at that time, but she was living with a couple of girls. This, of course, this is before she was married. And then another time we took a trip to the Canadian Rockies, and we flew out to Seattle, and she was living in a place called Fox Island. And it was a house, it was a small house. And so when we came back from the Canadian Rockies, she picked us up in Seattle, and we went out and spent a few days or so with her. So I saw her then. And then we went out to her wedding. So I've had 3 trips out there. You know, and it's a lot of money.
It's a long trip, too.
Long trip, yeah. So, Rita went out then, right after Patrick was born. Rita and Lori went out there that Christmas. And that was the Christmas where they had the big storm and everything.
Yeah.
It was terrible. So, the time to go out there, if you go at all, is in spring, summer, or fall. I think traveling in the winter on those planes, even we tried flying to Newark one year. We were going to Jimmy's.
From Syracuse?
Yeah, we didn't want to drive.
Yeah.
And, well, you know, we drove our car to the airport and left it. And then Jim picked us up. We went to their house. We had a lovely time there for Christmas. And then, and one year Patsy come flying in from Seattle there. It's nice for Rita because she gets a chance to see all of her children.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so spread out. Now, since Sharon has been in Jersey, and you people up in Connecticut, and then close, Jimmy can come over anyway.
And Greg.
And Greg can show up.
She's seen more of everybody in the last couple of years.
That's exactly
Except
right.
for when Sharon used to move around.
But then when Sharon was overseas, she always came back in the summer, and they always spent a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
At least with Rita. Dave didn't stay as long, but Sharon always stayed the extra week with the kids. And we had always looked forward to that. So I'm glad for Rita's sake because she misses seeing her children, you know.
Yeah.
And it's nice.
Well, can you imagine years ago, though? I mean, here we are
Yeah.
talking about Seattle and going to Seattle. Can you imagine, here we are today in Oswego, and we hop in our car, and 45 minutes, an hour later, we're back down in Manlius.
I know it. I know it.
And you think about, you know, what were the books we were looking at today? 1890s, even 1900. I mean, most of those people probably didn't leave Oswego
Why, no.
their whole life. I mean,
That's right.
they might have traveled to nearby town or something, whatever the near towns are, but
Yeah.
that was it.
Yes, and if they ever went to New York on the train, it was practically a day's trip.
Oh, so there's a train line from Oswego into Manhattan?
Oh, you know, yes, the New York Central, and then the Delaware and Lackawanna went into Weehawken, New Jersey, or went into Hoboken, New Jersey. It was quite a railroad center for many years.
Oswego?
Yes. Yeah. Lots of train. Then we had that one going north, you know, the Rome, Watertown.
Well, then that's why we saw those advertisements for the steamboats too.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Because if you didn't travel a lot, whatever travel there was a big deal.
Yeah.
I wonder if I could
I remember when we were growing up.
put this armrest down. Like,
Oh, yeah, sure. There's glasses.
yeah,
You'll need them when we get much further. It's pretty bad.
okay, I'll hang on to them.
I remember when we were kids, and my mother and father took the three of us down to New York. My mother's cousin was getting married, and we were going to stay with our relatives in Long Island. Oh, we entertained the kids in the neighborhood. We went down on the sleeper. We told them all about it. It was wonderful. Them coming and helping us out, going to the place to get the bathroom and get cleaned up. And it was a wonderful experience. Every kid on the block was thinking about it. You know, we thought the trains were wonderful.
Well, imagine, I mean, just the whole concept back then of, you know, somebody was probably, I don't know who, but somebody at some point in your family was the first person to get a car, and that's right. That must have been
Probably Margaret Murphy, or one of the Loftus girls. They were young and teaching. Yes, and they used to come over with the Ford
and it must have been a
and
big
say,
deal.
"Let's take a ride out after dinner around the lake."
Just to ride.
Just the ride. And it was a treat. You get in the car and ride around. I can remember that. Yeah. Yeah.
So
And like when my mother was growing up, now you saw where Cochran Street is.
Right, the Yellow House, 7 Cochran Street.
Right.
Now,
And then
whose house was that now? That was
the Reynolds home.
So that was not your mom. Your mom was
Well, the mom was a Griffin, but her mother was a Reynolds. So the house.
So that was Anna Rose Griffin.
Yeah, it was my mother. And she was the daughter of Mary Reynolds Griffin. See, her mother and Aunt Katie were the last members of the Reynolds family to live in the house.
Oh, now who was Quinn? Mary Quinn Reynolds. She married into the Reynolds family. She was a Quinn.
That's right. She was Katie's mother.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. She's the one that drowned.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but then Katie and look, I'm sitting here talking instead of taking my medicine.
Yeah, maybe you should do that, and then we'll.
Oh, I know it. I'm my own worst enemy.
Yeah, why don't you do
Yes,
that? So it's 20 to 5. That way it doesn't interfere with any dinner or anything, or.
Oh. I'm supposed to take this 4 times a day. 16.